Many years ago, in the city of Jos, lived a young lady named Lami. She was a beautiful and outspoken woman in her mid-20s who lived in Tudunwada. She sold hair extensions and body spray in her small shop near the roundabout, and she always showed up as if she was on a fashion runway. People knew her as the babe who wore heels even to buy kunu. She was the type of lady that liked sharp things, sharp dressing, sharp talking, but most importantly, sharp men. However, her boyfriend Danjuma was the exact opposite of her. He was a calm, gentle teacher at the nearby secondary school who wore ironed shirts, brown sandals, and always said thank you after every meal, even if it was only plain rice with no sauce. Danjuma never raised his voice. He never argued, and he always gave Lami money even when she didn't ask. In summary, he treated her like a queen, and that became a problem. One Sunday afternoon, Lami was at home when her two closest friends, Kande and Rhoda, came to visit her. As usual, they gisted about random things, church choir wahala, NEPA taking lights, and one woman who fainted after seeing her light bill. Suddenly, Lami sighed deeply and her countenance changed. Rhoda looked up. Lami, what is it again? Kande paused. I hope it is not about Danjuma again. Lami leaned back and said, my sister, the truth is Danjuma is too soft. I can't take it anymore. Rhoda blinked. Lami continued. He's too soft. He's always doing, yes, baby, sorry, baby, take my ATM card, baby. Every small thing, he will send a long text message with love emojis. It is too much now. Kande laughed. Wait, you mean he loves you too much? Lami shook her head. No, he behaves as if I am his mommy. I want a man, not a loyal pet. Do you know he can't even argue? I told him my soup had no salt, and he didn't even get angry. He just said, yes, baby, I already noticed, but I didn't want to spoil your mood. Who does that? The girls burst into laughter. Lami continued. Do you know last week he brought lunch to my shop? When he saw me carrying heavy load, he collected it from me and even helped me to wash cooler. The security man there asked if he was my brother. I can't deal with that. Rhoda smiled. But Lami, that is sweet now. Lami rolled her eyes. I don't want sweet. I want spice. I want pepper. I want a man that when he enters, you will feel it in the air. Not this one that blends with plastic chair. They laughed again. And then Kande leaned closer. So wait, Lami, you want a man that will challenge you? Exactly, Lami affirmed. I want someone that can put me in my place small, not slap, but at least shake my body small. Danjuma is too soft for my destiny. Kande shook her head. Problem. You have what many women are praying for, and yet you are looking for pepper. Truly, life no balance. That same evening, Danjuma came to visit Lami at her compound. He was holding a small cake and 2 packs of yogurt. His smile was wide as usual. Surprise, he said softly. Lami forced a smile. Oh, thank you. He knelt down and cleared his throat nervously. Lami, I've been thinking, you are everything I want in a woman. I know I am not the loudest or richest, but I will do everything to make you happy. Lami swallowed hard. Then he brought out a small red ring box. I want to marry you, Lami. Her mouth hung open. She looked at the ring. It was small, gold and neat, but not loud. Then she looked at Danjuma's face, which was full of hope. She didn't cry or smile. She just said, can I think about it? Danjuma's face fell slightly, but he nodded. Take your time, I'll wait. He stood up, hugged her, and walked away slowly. That night, Lami sat with her legs stretched out on the floor, pressing her phone and thinking. She imagined being married to Danjuma, cooking, washing, and always being treated like a queen. Then, she imagined being married to a man with huge chest, huge voice, and a huge presence. Someone that walks like a lion and talks like a commander. She smiled. She already knew what to do. The next morning, she sent Danjuma a message. You are a good man, but I need someone stronger. Please forgive me. It is over. Danjuma didn't reply immediately, but later, Lami saw a text from him that read, I wish you happiness always. She smiled, blocked his number and told herself, it's finally time to find a real man. She changed her WhatsApp bio to, soft men are sweet, but lions rule the jungle. Her friends Kande and Rhoda didn't agree, but Lami didn't care. She had made up her mind. She wanted a real man, one that could command a room just by standing in the doorway, one that would say sit down and she would want to sit, one that would open his mouth and silence even mosquitoes. Fortunately, she didn't have to wait long before meeting her wild lion. It happened at her cousin's wedding. Lami wore a gold dress with high heels, so sharp that they could slice okra. Her gele was packed like a government project, and as she walked into the hall, she heard a deep, strong voice behind her. Woman, excuse me, your dress is dragging the chair. She turned, and that was when she saw him. Bitrus Pam. He was tall with broad chest and deep voice. His beard was like a lion's mane, and he wore a black native wear that held his body like a second skin. He even walked with his shoulders high and wide, like someone that carried hot akara inside his armpits. He looked at her and said, "Are you okay?" Lami nodded slowly. "Good," he said. "Sit down before the rice finishes." After that, he walked past, and that was when her heart shouted, "This is the one." From that day, they became close. However, Bitrus didn't chase her like Danjuma. There was no "good morning, baby," no "have you eaten," and no flowers. Instead, he would say things like, "I'm picking you up by 6 p.m. Wear something decent. I don't like that your friend Kande. She talks too much. What do you want to eat? Never mind. I've already ordered pepper soup for you." Lami told her friends excitedly, "He's different. He takes charge and he protects me, even the way he holds the steering wheel." Hey, Kande frowned. "But he didn't ask you what you wanted to eat." "That is the point," Lami smiled. "He just knows. You know, alpha men don't beg for opinion." Rhoda raised her eyebrow. "So, control is now sexy?" Lami rolled her eyes. "You people don't understand. I feel so safe with him." Within 2 months, Bitrus proposed, but not with all those soft romantic styles. He didn't kneel or go through the stress of planning a surprise decor. He simply looked at her one evening and said, "I don't like wasting time. I have seen what I want. If you are ready, we can start marriage plans." Lami giggled and said, "You are so serious." He replied, "Life is not for jokers." She looked at him with admiration. A true lion had found her, and she couldn't wait to wear her wedding gown and walk down the aisle as Mrs. Pam. Everything was going at a fast pace, and Lami believed it was a good thing. Even when her friends tried to talk to her, she waved them off. A week before her traditional wedding, her mother came to have a talk with her. "Lami, I have watched this Bitrus of a man. He is bold, yes, but something in my spirit does not accept him." Lami laughed. "Mama, that is your village mind talking. I am marrying a real man, not a plastic boy." Her mother shook her head. "Lami, I know what I'm saying. Real man doesn't mean wicked man. Be careful. But Lami waved her hand. Mama, don't worry. You'll see. This one is different. A week later, Lami became Mrs. Lami Beatrice Pam. The wedding photos trended on Facebook and she used the caption, "I didn't settle for less. I waited for a king." Everyone hailed her. Her old classmates were jealous, and even Danjuma saw the post and liked it. Lami smiled to herself. I have arrived. But what she didn't know was that she had just entered a very dangerous lion's den. Much to her greatest shock, the honeymoon ended quickly, very quickly. Or was there even an honeymoon at all? Because before Lami could even hang her wedding gown properly in the wardrobe, she started noticing something strange. It began on the first morning after the wedding. She had woken up smiling, expecting kisses and cuddles, and maybe even breakfast in bed. Instead, Beatrice stood by the door holding a brown A4 paper and said, "Come to the sitting room. We need to go over the house rules." Lami rubbed her eyes. House what? Beatrice placed the paper on the center table, cleared his throat like a soldier addressing junior officers, and began reading. House rules for Mrs. Lami Beatrice Bam. Number 1, you must wake up by 5:30 a.m. even on weekends. Number 2, no sleeping in the afternoon without permission. Number 3, no makeup outside the house. Number 2, no friends are allowed unless approved 24 hours before. Number 5, your mom can only visit twice a year and she must never sleep over. Number 6, your phone must be placed face up at all times. Number 7, no trousers, only skirts or wrappers. Number 8, no going out without written explanation or verbal approval. Number 9, dinner must be ready by 7 p.m. sharp. Number 10, any disobedience will be handled firmly. When he finished reading, he looked at her and said, "Now, come and sign here to show you understand." Lami laughed. She laughed so hard that she rolled off the couch. Then she noticed that Beatrice wasn't laughing. She sat up. "Wait, you are serious?" Beatrice nodded. "Very serious." Lami tried to stay calm and joked. "So, what if I wear trousers by mistake?" Beatrice replied without blinking. "Then you will remove it by force." She stood up slowly. "Beatrice, is this prison or marriage?" He stepped closer. "You are my wife now. You can't behave like single girls anymore. I am responsible for your life now." Lami blinked. "So, I don't even have a say?" He shrugged. "Well, you can suggest, but the final decision is mine to make." Lami stared at him unbelievably, and at that moment, the chest she once admired now looked like a wall of trouble. The days that followed were full of strange adjustments. Beatrice gave her a timetable for cooking. Jollof rice on Monday, egusi soup on Wednesday, no rice on Sundays. He took her ATM card and said, "I will be handling all spending now." He went through her Instagram and unfollowed every male follower and deleted her TikTok account too, saying that she was too married for that nonsense. Lami tried to smile and cope. She told herself maybe he's just protective, until one day when she tried to call her mother and Beatrice asked, "Why are you calling her again? Didn't she just call you last week?" Lami blinked. "Beatrice, that's my mother." He glared at her. "And I am your husband." Well, Beatrice didn't stop there. He was hell-bent on isolating Lami. So, when her friend Kande came to visit one day, Beatrice looked at her from head to toe and said, "Please leave. This house doesn't entertain loud friends." Kande looked confused. "Me? Loud?" Beatrice nodded. This is a peaceful home. We don't need unnecessary energy. Lami quickly apologized and walked her friend out. As soon as the door closed, Beatrice hissed and said, "That girl has too much mouth. I don't want her around you again." Lami's heart broke a little that day. It hurt to admit it, but she realized she was becoming a prisoner gradually. That night, she stood in the kitchen peeling yam, while Beatrice was in the sitting room watching football and shouting at the players as if he owned their club. She stared at the yam absent-mindedly and thought of how she went from laughing with Danjuma to asking for permission to sleep in the afternoon. She thought of how she rejected peace for power, love for control, kindness for huge chest and bird. She blinked back the tears, but deep down, she knew that this real man had real wahala. By the third week of marriage, Lami already knew she was in serious trouble. The house no longer felt like a home. It felt like a training camp, one where you couldn't laugh too loudly, wear your favorite jeans, or even eat rice after 7 p.m. Beatrice didn't need to scream every day. Sometimes, his silence alone was enough to break bone. His eyes would fix on her like warning signs, and when he did speak, it was to correct her, control her, or command her. The man she once saw as a lion now reminded her of a locked cage with no key. But Lami still tried to manage and convinced herself. It's just an adjustment. I know he loves me. Maybe I just need to be more obedient. Well, that belief shattered the day her mother came to visit. It was on a Wednesday afternoon. Lami was sweeping when she heard a knock at the door. She opened it and froze. Her mother stood there smiling and holding a small cooler of soup. "My daughter, I just said let me surprise you small. I missed you." Lami almost cried. She hugged her mother tightly. "Mama, come inside quick before he comes back." Her mother paused. "Who is that?" Lami looked around. "Just enter, Mama." Unfortunately for Lami, Beatrice returned home very early that day. He entered the house, saw a pair of slippers he didn't recognize and froze. He stepped into the kitchen and found Mama Lami drinking water and helping to pluck scent leaves. He didn't even greet her. He simply asked, "Who allowed you into my house?" Mama Lami stood straight. "My daughter did." Beatrice turned to Lami. "Did you ask for my permission?" Lami replied calmly, "She's not a stranger. She's my mother. She just came today. She's not staying long, I promise." But Beatrice raised his hand, not to slap, just to silence. "Next time, you will inform me before you let anyone into my house. I don't care who it is. There are rules in this house, and they must be obeyed." Mama Lami dropped the bowl slowly. "Beatrice, I am her mother." Beatrice looked at his mother-in-law coldly. "You are not her husband." Cold silence filled the room like smoke. Lami stood between them, scared for what would happen next. Her heart was pounding like a generator at this point. Finally, Mama Lami picked up her bag and left quietly, but not before whispering to her daughter's ear, "When you are tired, come back home. This one is not a husband. He is a beast." That night was the longest night of Lami's life. She served dinner silently, but Beatrice didn't eat. He dropped his spoon and said, "You are testing me, Lami." Lami didn't say a word. He stood up slowly and glared at her. "You embarrassed me in front of your mother." "She's my mother," Lami shouted. "Is it a crime for her to visit me?" Now, that was the trigger. In the blink of an eye, Beatrice raised his hand and dashed her one loud, hot ancestral slap that bent her head sideways. Lami staggered, held her cheek, and stared at him in shock. He didn't even look sorry. He only hissed, "I warned you." She cried, "You hit me." He scoffed, "And you made me do it. Don't provoke me again. Be warned." Then he walked into the bedroom like a toddler who just won a small fight. The next morning, Beatrice bought her flowers and meat pie. He placed them on the table like a peace offering. About last night, I had to reset your head. You were going off track. Lami didn't answer. She just picked up the meat pie, tore it in half, and stared at the steam. Suddenly, it didn't smell like meat pie anymore. It smelled like bomb. She forced a smile, nodded slowly, and said, "Thank you." But in her mind, a small voice had started whispering, "This lion is capable of eating you alive." After that first slap, a painful realization dawned on Lami, just like when NEPA brings light and you suddenly see the cockroaches you didn't know were in your room. She had thought she was marrying a lion, but now she knew Beatrice wasn't a lion. He was a hunter and she was the bushmeat. Unfortunately for her, Beatrice became worse. Now that he had reset her, he doubled down on his rules. He collected her phone every night by 7 p.m. like a boarding school matron. He uninstalled her WhatsApp, saying there was no need to chat with unnecessary people. He cut off her friends and even her cousin Aisha, whom he said was a bad influence. He broke the TV remote because he believed there was no need for soap operas now that she was married. He even changed her ringtone to "Obedience is better than sacrifice." The day Lami tried to go to the market without informing him, he called her 15 times at a row. When she answered, all she heard was, "Go back home now." She turned instantly and headed home. Lami also stopped dressing the way she liked. Beatrice didn't even need to burn her clothes. He just made sure she knew that they were not wife material. So she packed them away by herself. She walked and lived like a shadow now. Even her mirror started forgetting her face. And then their wedding anniversary came. Since it was on a Wednesday, Lami prepared egusi soup and wore her best wrapper. Beatrice came in late, dropped his keys with a bang and said, "Why is this soup smelling like engine oil?" Lami blinked. "I used the palm oil from your mother's side. Did I ask you to use that one?" He didn't eat her food and he didn't even wish her happy anniversary. Instead, he turned up the volume of his phone and started watching karate. Lami sat at the corner of the bed that night, staring at the ceiling and hugging her pillow like a baby. The following week, she received a call from her cousin Aisha, who was her favorite cousin. Aisha was about to relocate to Canada, so she begged, "Lami, please just come see me tomorrow. I'm leaving on Saturday." Lami was excited to go, but when she told Beatrice that evening, he looked at her with a straight face and said, "You are not going anywhere. If she wants to see you, let her write an application to come to this house, and she must wear wrapper." Lami gasped. "She's traveling to Canada. I might never see her again." Beatrice didn't care and he said, "Then you will wait until you see her in your dreams. You are not a street girl, so you shouldn't be going up and down." That night, as he snored beside her, Lami lay wide awake. She cried silently as her heart broke over and over again as she thought of everything. "I am not in a marriage, oh. I am in a cage, and the key is lost. How did I get here?" She remembered Danjuma, how he always greeted her mother with respect, asked for her opinion, and never shouted at her. She remembered the Suya nights, the gentle proposal, and the love that felt like water, not fire. She sniffed back her tears. "I wanted a real man, but this one came with real madness." She knew something had to change really fast before she would lose everything that made her Lami. Still, she held on until one night when Beatrice brought home a word that was disguised as a conversation. Beatrice returned home that evening to find Lami watching a gospel music video on her phone. She greeted him cheerfully. "Welcome, my husband." Beatrice didn't answer. He sat down, looked around and asked, "Why is there no food on the table?" Lami replied, "I was waiting for you. I wanted it to be hot." He shouted, "So you spent your time watching video and playing on your phone?" "It was just a short song. I was tired and I decided..." Before she could finish, he grabbed her phone and smashed it on the ground. The sound was loud and Lami's heart jumped. Beatrice then pointed to her. "Next time, focus. You are a wife, not a teenager." Lami cried, "You broke my phone." "You've been breaking my rules since. This one is small," Beatrice warned. Lami backed away slowly and sat on the chair crying quietly. At 2:30 a.m., Lami woke up without an alarm. She knew this was the day she would escape or die trying. So she didn't panic. She just picked a few things quietly and collected the money she had secretly saved inside a broken plastic case. She folded everything into a small nylon bag, tiptoed to the door and unlocked it slowly. Beatrice was still asleep, snoring like someone who owned the world. She didn't leave through the front gates. She went through the backyard, climbed the low fence like a thief, scratched her leg on the barbed wire, landed awkwardly, and limped into the streets. She ran and didn't look back. There were no vehicles at that hour, so she walked for long to get to the main road. Luckily for her, when she reached the main road, a keke passed by. She shouted and waved him down. "Uncle, please, I'm going to Tunduwada. Please, just take me there. I'll pay." The keke man looked at her with concern. "Madam, are you okay?" She nodded quickly. "I just need to go to my mother's house." He nodded and took her there. When she reached her mother's compound, she didn't knock. She banged the gate repeatedly. Mama Lami opened it with sleepy eyes and froze when she saw her daughter, Lami. Lami fell into her arms. "Mama, I am tired. I can't do it again. I can't." Her mother held her tight, rubbed her back, and said nothing for a long time. Then she whispered, "You've come home. You are safe here." That night, for the first time in months, Lami slept deeply. There was no shouting that made her afraid, and no heavy footsteps that made her heart jump. A week after Lami ran out from Beatrice's house, the bruises on her body had faded, even though the ones in her heart still remained. She planned to start life all over again, taking little steps at a time. She had even made plans to revive her hair extension business, but unknown to her, trouble was not done with her yet. One Saturday afternoon, Lami went to a small restaurant in town to eat and receive fresh air. She was sitting by the window sipping fruit juice and reading messages on her phone when she heard a deep, familiar voice behind her. "So this is where you are hiding." Her heart nearly ran away. She looked up and started shaking when she saw Beatrice standing tall in his native wear, looking angry with red eyes like someone who wanted to consume her. "What are you doing here?" she managed to ask. Beatrice gave her a deadly smile. "You think you can embarrass me and disappear?" "Beatrice, please. I am not coming back. It is over." He grabbed the chair opposite her, leaned in and growled. "You are my wife. That means you are my property. You only leave when I say you can leave." The people in the restaurant turned to look at them. "Beatrice, please, lower your voice. You are embarrassing me." "Shut up," he snapped. "You listen to me. Pack your things and come back home now. I will not say it again." He slammed his hand on the table, and that was when a calm but solid voice interrupted them. Is this how you talk to women? Everyone turned to look at this person, and Lami couldn't believe her eyes. It was Danjuma, dressed in a clean white shirt, standing by the counter with a takeaway bag in one hand, looking calm but ready. Beatrice coughed. Oh, so the weak teacher is here. Did she run into your arms now? Are you the tiny hero she has? Danjuma didn't blink. She didn't run to me. I believe she ran away from your torture. And if you touch her here, I will make sure you regret it. Beatrice stood up. So, you think you can fight me? Danjuma dropped the bag he was holding, stepped forward and said without blinking, "Try me." Lami blinked 3 times. She had never seen Danjuma like this before. He was not angry or shouting. He was just confident, strong and ready. Beatrice laughed in disbelief, shook his head and turned to Lami. "You are lucky today, but this is not the end." He walked out, banging the door behind him. Lami's legs were shaking. She sat down slowly and wiped her tears. Danjuma walked to her. "Are you okay?" She nodded. "Thank you. I don't even know what to say." Danjuma smiled. "You don't have to say anything." She looked at him, finding it hard to believe that the same Danjuma she once left for being too soft had just stood up to a man built like a wall without becoming a monster himself. "Danjuma, I was wrong about you." He smiled again. "It's okay. A lot of people confuse kindness with weakness." Lami swallowed hard and asked, "Do you still think of me?" But before Danjuma could answer, a female voice interrupted them. "Baby, I got the water." A beautiful woman walked up to him. She looked at Lami and smiled politely. "Hi." Danjuma smiled at her too. "Lami, this is Maria, my fiancée." Maria smiled. "Lami, he told me about you. I hope you are doing just okay." Lami nodded and forced a smile. "Yes, I'm getting there, thank you." Danjuma held his fiancé's hand, looked at Lami and said, "I always wished you the best, and I still do." And then they turned and walked out together. Lami sat there frozen for a long time. After she recovered herself, she picked up her bag, stood up and said to herself, "I chased a real kind man away, thinking he was weak, not knowing it was his strength, the kind that doesn't hurt, doesn't shout, and doesn't break to prove a point." Finally, she walked out of the restaurant with her head held high, not because she didn't regret her actions, but because she now had wisdom, and from that day forward, no lion would fool her again. Thank you for watching the story. Kindly share your thoughts about the story with me in the comment section. What lessons did you learn from the story? Kindly share the story out with your loved ones. Give the story a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way. Bye!